This is episode 2 of Queer Rambling. I know for sure I will be bringing up the radqueer community, and editing me will insert what else I'm talking about here. This is a topic that needed quite a bit of nuance once I got into it. I kind of went in with like a neutral leaning towards no thanks stance, and not just from what I didn't know much, and I kind of already had an assumed opinion, which, my fault. I'm gonna get into it. Did end up needing the notebook. So, radqueer is the belief that the LGBTQ community is too Puritan, not accepting of, like, paraphiles and trans identities, and medically unrecognized disorders. Where did I don't have it. That's like the crowning belief that, and the original goal is radical acceptance, just accepting everybody, like, their existence, and, you know, the original goal was to,
Girl, speak. Oh my god.
The original goal.
Come on, you got it.
Paraphilic sexual behavior, gain social acceptance and validation of trans IDs, and pathological harmful behavior when it's originating in good faith. Now that is taken directly, majority of these things are taken directly from the website, like, explain the radqueer community written. It's from the radqueer community itself. This is their core ideology. I did not dig I did dig pretty deep, but I was not writing a dissertational thesis. But I'll start with the trans IDs. So, it's not the radqueer ones. They do include everything that's already in the queer community and accepted widely as a whole. So they're when I say trans IDs, I'm meaning these. Like, trans species, it's relatively harmless, but some of these are harmful. Transabled, you identify with a disability that you do not actually have. Like, you're not diagnosed with it. You don't have the symptoms. You just identify with it. Like, for example, we have trans threats, trans blind, etc. And it was originally for body integrity identity disorder. That's originally what the label came from. That's like when people feel like their limb should be amputated or something like that, and they get amputations to relieve their dysphoria. Trans harmful, identifying with harmful things like trans Nazi, trans stalker, trans kidnapper, etc. Now, this was not stated, and I felt this is an important piece to add. I'm trying to think. Okay, so these people feel like they identify as causing harm, but supposedly they don't actually cause harm. That is the quote from the radqueer website, although that is the core ideology. And the core ideology of the Bible is to love your neighbor, not deport him. So, this is the core ideology. And I think a lot of this is better in theory than in practice, which is why sometimes you have to be like, yeah, this is not okay. But people have to be willing to make the change in themselves. And the best you can do is put the information out there and make them aware. It's up to them if they choose to change. Not you. You can't control other people. Trans age, identifying as a different age, like a different mental age in your body. It's kind of associated with people who promote or excuse predatory behavior towards minors. It's not age regression or the non-radqueer chronism. I will put the spelling up there. Some people outside of radqueer do claim trans age. trans race, identifying as a different race. Trans black, race fluid, not trans. This isn't transracial, not adoption, when someone from a different race goes into a family, like another family. Let me think. I don't know if that's the same thing as RCTA or race change to another, but because RCTA is not identifying as it, that's actually doing it, and it's more of a satire thing now. Like, you'll see people making these accounts to rage bait or, like, intentionally upset people and, you know, bait for their interactions and attention. MUDs, medically unrecognized disorders, a lot of these mimic actual disorders. It does kind of remind me of when people were faking Tourette's, having DID, or being, like, a system, whereas, like, you feel like there's multiple people inside your body that switch, which I think that's what that sort of is, except you identify as having a medically like, it's not medically recognized. Satanism. This is a really bad one. We want no age of consent. We want to legalize cannibalism, bestiality, CSAM, CSEM. We want public procreation and very pro-porn. It was originally rejected, but it's become more popular now, and it's especially popular in, like, private communities where it's closed off from the public. Like, you can't just go search this up and find what they're, like, forums of talking. It's not like Reddit, like Discord communities. Paraphilias are just, like, sexual fixations. Pedophilia, it's attracted to prepubescent children. It's a psychiatric disorder, not a queer identity. This is something you go and seek mental health treatment for, especially if it's, like, impacting your ability to live functionally. Zoophilia, same thing. Attraction to non-human animals. Bestiality is the term for actually for actually acting on it with animals. Although sometimes this is interaction with furries and therians, not actual animals that aren't human. It depends on who you're talking to. It is harmful, so it is an issue, ailment, and it's not a queer identity. It's not. I don't think that should be included in being queer, because it's inherently harmful if you act on it. This specifically, not cake. That belongs at Pride. That is really important to queer history. Basophilia or raptophilia. Rapto, it needs the act, but it's a term for fixation on non-consensual acts. It is a psychiatric disorder. These three I've just listed come as, like, well, these kind of are like trauma responses. Not that you have to have trauma to be into things, but that's sort of what this is. Necrophilia, it's attracting to corpses. It's I would deem it a psych disorder if it interferes with your life. I wouldn't say any one of these is a queer identity, because not. They're technically trauma responses or psych disorders. The goal is to normalize the paraphilic sexual behavior, and they want you to validate their identities. It's like the original intention of this was to take paraphilias and reach acceptance. Kinks are not harmful in good practice. That is part of queer community. The issue is some of these ideologies and identities are harmful. The ideology is universally accepting, so it's automatically accepting. We're not taking anybody out if they feel like they're rejected from society. which is that's radical acceptance in the terms of queer community. But the thing is, it's great in theory, bad in practice. Some good calls, they do support overlapping and conflicting contradictory labels, which is a really good thing. The queer community as a whole, it's kind of a debate. It's the Validity Olympics. We play the Validity Olympics with trans men, lesbians. We do play the Validity Olympics with that. And I think a lot of the Validity Olympics comes from people wanting to use a more commonly known term, because some microlabels are just ultra specific. And they're not well known. But the point of a microlabel, when it's created, I think everything is a microlabel until it's widely spread. But yeah. They do really support bodily autonomy, spec monos. So that's when you say that you're lesbian, but you're also bisexual, or any other sexual orientation or sexuality where you're attracted to multiple genders. Like, I have the word. Omnisexual. Things like that. Freedom in fiction. But the thing is, the ideology has no stance on harmful behavior, like acting on it, contact. I'm gonna go back to my note on contact stances. So, we have contact stances. You've got supportive, you're like, yes, act on it, you're going to actively advocate for the freedom to act on this. And contact stances go with the paraphilias. Complex, it's a situational thing. You'd have to ask this person to define their specifics according to the community itself. Neutral, you're indifferent. It doesn't bother you. Anti, you're like, don't. No, thank you. And then we have pro-consent. Which, you know. But the belief that these problematic identities are in good faith. Although good faith is in do no harm, I do think you would assume good faith means do no harm, but I think in this case the use actually, that's in theory. In practice it's good intentions. I do think you can't always change people's minds completely. You can't pull someone out of a harmful community and say, this is why. You can't. It's like getting someone to leave a DV situation. They have to do it on their own. I think you can minimize harm. That's what harm reduction is. I do think that a reminder is impact over intent. Yes, your intentions were good, but the result of your actions may not have been. Yes, your intent matters, but I do think that if you can recreate consensually, safely, it's acceptable in the way that kink is. And that, I will reiterate this, is a very important part of queer history. It belongs at Pride. I kind of take this as an anti-contact status. But the inherent component of good faith is do not do harm. But that's not always possible. If you can't do no harm, you can minimize. I do think that this is good in theory. The harm is not being accepting. The harm is not that the identity itself is problematic. The harm is the result of choosing to make that a valid identity. Because it allows people to rationalize acting on harmful paras, because the ideology itself to be part of this community, it's up to interpretation. But it also encourages this as well, because you can rationalize it. You can say, well, this is my identity. You just don't like it. And the harm isn't, like, encouraging behaviors. That's their defense against that, because they have no contact stance. The core belief and ideology itself. This is sort of like, it's almost like it's a religion, you know? It's not a cult. It's kind of like a religion. Some parts of it are ethical, but are, well, not inherently ethical. Some parts of it are harmless, and some parts of it can cause harm. I do think some of the ideas in theory are good. It was good-hearted, but it didn't end well. The harm, that's the harm. It's not just harmful because it makes other people uncomfortable. Some trans IDs do minimize actual oppression and life experiences, like trans race, transabled. I'm not saying that body integrity identity disorder is harmful. That's not part of this. It is, but, like, not really. Radical acceptance is good in theory, but you need to put boundaries on it. I think that's the part they're missing. Boundaries on their radical acceptance. Like, you know, it's an important topic. But, yeah. The one thing, the turf farts, I will no longer be referring to them as Turks, they're farts. Everybody knows what turf is. Fart is it rearranged to be less, you can't reclaim it. It's not a slur. It's an active descriptor of your harmful behavior. Fart is feminism appropriating reactive transphobes. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. You gotta love it. Now it's time for some comedic interlude. Because that was a heavy one. And I will be showing off my beautiful pride makeup. Jesus. I have yellow on the inner corner. I think that's the best you can see it. It's hard to see. And then you can see the clump of mascara I have there with, like, my itty bitty eyelashes. I have, like, 3 lashes on the top. I don't know what my eyelashes are doing. Am I wearing yesterday's braids? Yeah. I really am.
It is now time for us to say goodbye. I will not be creating a song, because that ended horribly last time I tried to make a YouTube channel.